Good afternoon. This is Sam Brooks, Supervisor of Personalized Learning for the Putnam County School System, and it is EPSO week in Tennessee. We've taken the opportunity this year to talk to different people during EPSO week to push out all of the EPSO opportunities in Putnam County that are available to our students. In case you don't know what EPSO means, it means Early Post-Secondary Opportunity. So the last couple of days, we've talked to a few of our partners, which namely was Vol State and Tennessee Tech, and specifically for the dual enrollment options that we have in Putnam County. I'm so excited today to talk to Savannah Viar, a student that went through all of the vital options in Putnam County to really take control of her learning path at a very young age. So just ecstatic that we're going to be able to share your story. And thank you so much that you're busy in college right now and you got a lot going on and you took the time to come back and talk with us. But Savannah, I think it's so important for other students that are out there to know what is possible through the programs that we offer in Putnam County. And not only the programs in Putnam County, but other schools around the state of Tennessee that are offering as far as early post-secondary opportunities. So to set this up, I'm going to give just a little background on you. I don't want to get into specifics because I want you to tell them. Savannah and her father first came to us, the Vital program in Putnam County, when she was in 6th grade. And we have opportunities. Actually, we just started opportunities for middle school students to take advantage of high school courses through the Vital online program at that time. Her school, her middle school, was Prescott South, and their principal, Mr. Trey Upchurch, was definitely uniquely involved in the opportunities that they pushed out at Prescott. That led to opportunities for someone like Savannah to take advantage of pathway choices. And I remember talking to your dad, and we actually interviewed your dad way back then, and the thing that stuck out with me, and that's been years ago, but as far as your dad is, he said, I want Savannah to be able to design her own pathway. We don't want to be bound by classes that she already knows the curriculum and the content in. And so I think that was the major reason that your family, you and your dad, got involved with the Vital options at a very young age, starting in 6th grade. But then as you climbed the ladder in Putnam County, that turned into dual enrollment options with both Vol State and Tennessee Tech. Mm-hmm. And then also you took advantage of AP opportunities at the high school and a lot of honors classes also along the way. So we're going to dive into your story. I appreciate again you being here and sharing your story because it's very, very exciting. And then we're going to end up with what your future is going to look like. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to share my story because I know a lot of kids are nervous about going into this program, so I want to let them know what it's really like in it. Okay,
we appreciate that, and you're right. When you jump into classes early, maybe a high school class in middle school, it is challenging. And that's something I think that's going to come across in your story as we go through. So let's go ahead and jump in. So I said Prescott is where you started this program, and then you flowed right into Cookeville High School and took advantage of Vol State offerings through Vital and Tennessee Tech offerings also through Vital and the dual enrollment program in Putnam. Let's start with question 1. What made you decide to start taking Vital advanced classes in the beginning?
Well, I went through all of 5th grade. And it got to the point where I knew what was going on, and it felt like I wasn't being challenged. And I was telling my parents, I'm getting all my work done within 10, 15 minutes, and I'm just sitting there. And so my parents were asking around the school if there was any more challenging classes if I could be in a gifted program. And then we heard about Vital, and we thought, this is our solution. She can start taking upper level classes if she understands them, because I had to take a math assessment test to see if I could be in the advanced math. And that's when I truly decided, this is what I really enjoy. I feel like I'm challenged in this math, and I know, how to get to the place where I want to be now. And so that's when I started out with just integrated math 1. And then someone mentioned, oh, well, you could start your English 1. And so it just kind of built like that. It snowballed into, oh, you can do econ, you can do government. And I just did one class after the other. And it was really just because it offered a new challenge that I didn't have before.
So your entry level definitely was math, yes. And that's something that you love. And so having success at that young age in a high school math class in Putnam County, we call it integrated math. It would be Algebra 1 in other places. There's no doubt that you had success. I've got to say, in the very beginning when we started this conversation, as a sixth grader, we were very skeptical that you were going to be mature enough to be able to handle the content and handle the relationships, but you proved us wrong very quickly, and we could see within a couple of weeks this was going to be something that would be very popular for you. As you said, that did lead into a lot of other classes. In middle school, the end result, you took, I can't remember how many hours, so refresh me on that. Talk a little bit more about the classes you did take while in middle school that were high school credits.
I think that I took the first 3 integrated maths, so algebra 1, 2, and then I think geometry is the next. So I took those 3 maths, so I was up through my junior year in math, and then I took English 1 and 2, so that would be your freshman and sophomore English classes. I took econ and government, so that would be my senior level in history classes, and then
Personal finance.
personal finance, yes, that's another one I took. I was trying to remember that one. Personal finance I took at a young age, and I actually still use everything from that class.
Yes, good class.
Now that I've moved out and everything. But I think those are all the classes I took in middle school to start into my high school. So I had most of my freshman and sophomore year done.
So on one of the videos, we were talking to the Tennessee Tech admissions person, and we let her know, and we had a conversation about people like you, students like you that were taking high school credits in middle school, and I let her know that we've got students that are coming out of middle school that have 8, 9, 10 credits under their belt, and you just said, and I want to say this again because it's incredible, 3 levels of high school math you got out of the way before you stepped foot into Cookeville High School. So you finished integrated 1, integrated 2, and integrated 3, and it was really on fire for math. So by that time, we're starting to think engineering, something in the math field was going to really attract you at the college level. But I do want the parents to know, when we work with somebody like Savannah and her family, we have to actually build their schedule from the senior year back. Because in the state of Tennessee, every student has to take math every year. So what that meant for her finishing math so early is that she was going to have a plan for her freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year that involved a math. And we knew, because you finished those levels of math before you even got in high school, that was going to deal with either the community college level or the Tennessee Tech University level. So there is a lot of education along the way for families. You can't just randomly throw classes in. You have to know what it's going to do from your senior year back to be able to design a plan like this, and we were able to do that with you very successfully, I might say, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through. Question number 2, what type of advanced classes beyond the vital online credits in middle school did you take along the way? So you get into high school, what did you do there?
When I got into high school, I actually finished most of my high school credits through the Vital Online program, because I chose to just do an online program through high school. But for the college level classes I took, I first started at Vol State, and I took classes at Vol State at night. And then after I had gotten through the Vol State, I knew kind of what degree I wanted to go into. I was 14, and I was like, engineering's pretty cool. And then I had just taken my chemistry class at the high school, and I decided chemical engineering is what I wanted to do. So I started.
And what year was that?
That was when I was 14, so I guess freshman year is when I officially decided.
I got to tell you, Savannah, I didn't know what I wanted to do even when I got in college. So 14 years old and already having a good idea. Now, some kids will have an idea when they grow up what they might want to be, and through this process they identify positives and negatives to what they were thinking they wanted to be, and they may change, and that's perfectly okay, because what you're doing as you began this was just getting your base.
And I did that as well. At first, I hadn't even decided what engineering, so I had really focused in on chemistry because I loved my high school chemistry so much. It was my favorite class. It still is one of my favorite classes I ever took.
So who was that teacher, so we can give her some?
Miss Williams.
Miss Williams, okay.
Yes, she was the best teacher. I took her sophomore year, but I decided freshman year I wanted to go into engineering. But she tipped me into chemical engineering because of the chemistry aspect. But I changed my mind throughout the way, and I'm still changing my mind to this day about what I officially want to do with my degree. And I feel like this program helped me do that. It helped me decide from a younger age what I wanted to do, but it also gave me the flexibility to change my mind and not be 10 years down the road and have no clue what I'm doing.
Right.
So I appreciate that in the program.
So you talked a little bit about taking advantage of our Vital online classes while you're in high school. Having conversations with you along the way, I know one of the major concerns for you was pace. You told me, we had an interview before, and you told me that the Vital online classes allowed for you to move at your own pace. Why was that important to you?
That was important to me because I used to be in classes all the time, and I would just sit there and I'd wait for everyone else to finish their work. And I always felt like I was bored or I wasn't taking full advantage of my education. And so when I could do it on my own account, this meant that, yeah, there could be some days where I've done all of my work and the next 2 days I can sit back and relax. But for the most part, it just allowed me to finish my education the way I wanted to and go through the course as quickly as I wanted to. Because I used to finish courses 3-4 weeks before the course would end, and it just allowed me to have that flexibility. And I still appreciate that to this day.
I think that key word right there is flexibility. Vital has really developed out a little bit more than even when you were here, and our newest direction is our Flex Learning Center, which is actually at the opposite end of this building. And it's more of a hybrid approach. So students can actually come over here and get help from certified teachers in those Vital online classes. So it's kind of a hybrid setting. So that's our new area of growth, and I think that's something you probably would have liked, but you tended to be okay on your own most of the time, so I don't know that you would have been one to take full advantage of that, but nice to have that option. So let's make sure that folks understand the options that exist in Putnam County, you took it full advantage of. So if it was dual enrollment through Vol State or if it was dual enrollment through Tennessee Tech, also the advanced placement options that are at Cookeville High School, and then of course honors classes along the way when you wanted to sprinkle those in. So tell a little bit why you chose to do all of those things.
I always knew that I wanted to be a little bit on top. That's always been a part of me, and I think it's part of being an engineer. You want to be the best that you can be. So I chose to do honors instead of regular classes whenever I had to, because there wasn't a dual enrollment replacement for it. Because I always liked going further with my education and being at the top of my education. And I think I chose AP for the same reason. I chose to go ahead and get started on those credits that I would need for my humanities credits for my degree. And that's the same thing I did for the dual enrollment at Vol State and for Tennessee Tech.
So let's focus in on dual enrollment for a second. Your first dual enrollment class, as I remember, was actually with Vol State, one of our partners that we work with, especially in students that are beginning their dual enrollment track. So tell us about your experience in the class that you started off with Vol State.
I started off with statistics, and I loved that class. It was a night class, and it was 10 weeks long, I want to say. And my teacher, he was very understanding that I was a high school student, but he didn't cut me any slack. He definitely pressured me and told me that I had to get the work done. And I appreciated that because it helped me mature and grow within the class. But I really enjoyed the class because it was the first time that I was sitting down with other college students, and I was surpassing the levels they were at. I was the top of my class in that statistics class. I ruined the curve. So none of the other kids really liked that.
I would have probably not liked you a whole lot.
Yeah. But honestly, it just gave me the first real experience with other college students, what it was like to be the younger kid in the classes.
Okay, so that leads me to my next question. So how old were you?
I was 14.
14 years old. We have some concern about parents and families wanting to start this. And one of the first questions we have is, you're going to put a 14, 15, 16, even 17-year-old in with present college students. Give us a little background on that, and did that even mean anything to you at that time?
I will say at the time, it was like I didn't want to be the embarrassing high school kid. I definitely wanted to fit in and try and pretend like I was a college student. But at the same time, I feel like it gave me this opportunity to mature and grow that I didn't even know I was experiencing. My parents told me coming out of that class that I was changing into a whole new mature adult person. And I think that was just because the people I was surrounded by. And yes, I was very nervous when I started. I was panicking, like, oh, they're all going to know immediately that I'm a high school student. Don't be that kid. But honestly, it helped me so much throughout my life, and I feel like I've matured so much from this program.
So no negative impact to being with a little bit older students?
I wouldn't say there was any negative impact. I think I only had positive influences from it.
Awesome. That's great to know, and really nice for those folks to hear. We really haven't had any problems with that, but that seems to be a major concern as parents start this process. So very nice to hear from someone who's been at the beginning level and all the way through in 4 or 5 years now. In doing this and haven't had any problems. So thank you for that.
I will say one thing. It was good that I kept a foot in high school and in college because it keeps you with your friends, and that kept me socialized, and I'm a very social person.
I can tell.
Yeah. But it kept me grounded. So I still had my high school life, but I still was mature enough to deal with college. So I would say there's balance there.
Yeah, and that's something, the VITAL program pushes out dual enrollment in Putnam County, and we serve as a resource for our high schools to push dual enrollment out in a way that is beneficial for our students. We have a dual enrollment specialist that works for the VITAL program, and you know her very well, Donna Sherrill, and she does a great job with our program. So what can you say about the experience in working with Miss Donna as you've gone through this whole process?
I would say it's nothing but phenomenal, and that's not just because she's watching us. Like, my whole experience with her, it was anytime I needed something, she was there to answer my questions, and a lot of the time, you don't get that. There's a lot of the time where you're figuring out the answers by yourself, which is another reason why you have to mature, because you have to go and look for the answers. But anytime I needed someone or I needed advice about what classes to take, she was there to help me. And it wasn't just that she was there to help me, it's that she actively rooted for my success. And that meant a lot to me from a young age, because you have a lot of people that are looking at you like you're going to fail. And she always was the most encouraging, and I appreciated that so much.
Yeah, and I would say as advantageous as you were on the options, you're one of the first that took full advantage of everything, that we had to offer here in Putnam County through Cookeville High School and through the VITAL program. So that's exciting in itself. And, that's where this dual enrollment specialist position came from, because our numbers were growing so much. It was tough for the on-site counselors to be able to handle, at Cookeville High School, you've got International Baccalaureate, you've got the AP program, you've got dual enrollment, now you've got dual credit, and you've got the CTE offerings also. Mm-hmm. And our counselors across Putnam County have to know all of those. They have to be experts. So it was no surprise that our director at that time saw it important to create a position for someone to take the lead for you dual enrollment students at a time when it was really growing. And I think that's really helped us to continue to grow this program. As we pull in TCAT offerings, Tennessee College of Applied Technology offerings to Cookeville High School, our dual enrollment numbers have grown from 400 to over 800 classes right now in just dual enrollment alone. And then you throw dual credit in there, and it actually increases the number. So the EPSO offerings in Putnam County are extensive. So a couple of more questions for you, and something's very important. Then I'm going to give you a little bit of time to talk about your recommendations for people who are interested in this. I'm very interested, we've talked about the number of classes that you took. I guess we really do we talked a little bit about Vol State. So you transitioned from Vol State into taking Tennessee Tech classes. So I think it'd be important to the folks to understand why you wanted to seek out Tennessee Tech classes.
I knew at that point what I wanted my major to go into, and I didn't want to keep taking gen ed classes. I wanted to take degree-specific classes that were going to help me further my program and degree. So it was sophomore year, I think, that I decided to start going to tech classes instead of Vol State, because at that point I knew what I wanted for my degree, and there was chemical engineering classes that I couldn't take through Vol State. So I just decided if I'm going to take a few classes at tech, then I might as well just take them all.
Now, Savannah, at that time, did you have a pretty good idea that Tennessee Tech was going to be your college of choice, or were you still wavering?
I was wavering until last year. Even though I had all of my credits, I thought about transferring to other schools because I had got admitted into other schools. But I think ultimately, my parents went there, both of my sisters went there, my grandparents went there. It was pretty much, I knew where I was going to go. That was the program I was going to go into. So
let's talk about a few of those college courses. I know you can't remember all of them, but can you name some of the dual enrollment courses you took while you were at Cookeville High School?
While I was in Cookeville High School?
Yes.
I took dual enrollment history with Mr. Brown, U.S. History. Great class, loved it. I want to say that was the only official dual enrollment class I took at the high school, because I did most of my dual enrollment classes at Tech.
Okay, so at that point you had taken a Vol State class, you had taken a dual enrollment, you had taken a Tennessee Tech dual enrollment, so you got your feet wet, you understood what the dual enrollment program was, but now you're ready to move on and do more. So at that point, we have joint enrollment agreements with Tennessee Tech, and so you're not necessarily a true dual enrollment student anymore, because you're ready and wanting to take classes that we don't offer in dual enrollment. We just have not made it that far yet. So now you leave Cookeville High School, but you're still a Cookeville High School student, and you're going on to the campus of Tennessee Tech. Tell us a little bit about what that's like.
Well, that's when I became like a full-time Tech student. I took 18 hours my first semester, and I'm still taking 18
How old were you?
hours. I was 16.
16 years old, 18 hours.
And I'm still taking 18 hours right now, actually. But I started taking 18 hours. I did my chemistries, I did biologies, I started a chemical engineering class. I started my degree-specific program then. And that's when I got my degree-specific advisor at Tech, and they were all looking at me like, what are you doing here? They were very helpful to this day. They're the best department. I love them. But no, that's when I fully begun really taking on my education and what I wanted to do with my future. Because even before, when I had taken dual enrollment and I took high school and middle school, then I didn't really know what my end game was. And now I feel like I do know my end game, which is always changing, but that's when I fully understood what everything behind me had done to get me to this point.
Okay, so your track, as I remember, and we may be a credit off or two here, but leaving middle school, you left middle school with 9 high school credits.
Yes.
You went through high school, and you left high school with how many college credits?
I want to say it was 84 to 90. I can't remember which one.
Okay, 84 to 90 college credits when you leave high school. I'm sure you were ranked fairly high at Cookeville High School when you graduated.
I was 10th in my class.
10th in your class, so that's great work, and comparatively to regular high school work, very high level as far as your ranking associated to the regular classes at Cookeville High School. So congratulations on all of that success. You go into Tennessee Tech. You've been there this past year, and I know with all of that under your belt, you're going to be able to graduate Tennessee Tech early. So how early are you going to be able to graduate Tennessee Tech?
I think it's going to be 2.5 to 3 years early. It depends on if I take an extra research semester, but I think it's 2.5.
Now, Savannah, I'm not sitting here trying to tell every student in Putnam County that this is what they need to do. This is not for everybody. But you were motivated, and I remember way back in 7th grade, one thing you told me is, you're not doing a lot of other things. You don't really play a lot of sports. This is your sport. This is the thing that you want to do. This is the thing that you thrive on. So you were very motivated to be able to do this. So I do want people to know, it's not for everybody. You got to be highly motivated. And one thing that you told me in the past, as far as students that might be as motivated as you, what do they have to know to be able to be successful?
I think that they have to know first how to manage their time, because that is a huge part of doing any of this. You have to know what is your responsibility and how to be accountable for what's your part. And then you also need to know how to be mature in situations where you do have to take the active role and you do have to be responsible for your actions, because they're not going to give you a second chance on an assignment because you turned it in late.
Right.
They're just going to look at you and say, okay, you get a 0. And that's different from when in high school, because high school, a lot of the times they'll give you a second chance. They'll say, okay, I get it. You were busy this weekend. But they don't do that in college. You get it done, and you get it done now.
You're truly a college student, no matter what age you are. If you sign up for those classes and you get enrolled, you're a college student. And that's the way it was for everyone that goes through not only Tennessee Tech, but any college out there. You're expected to do the work, turn it in on time, and get the proper grade for it that you deserve. So I think that's very good and beneficial for these folks that might be interested in something like this to hear also. Now, gosh, getting into this last question, I'm just blown away by what the possibilities are for your future. And one thing that really sticks out to me that people don't talk a lot about for someone who's managed as much as you have, if you graduate 2.5 years early and you start your job 2.5 years early, you've just added 2.5 years of earning potential to your career-long goals that you may have. You just added 2.5 years that you can retire earlier based on what you do. So the financial aspects of it are phenomenal. And so you've kind of been able to tie all of these things and everything that you've learned in together. So I'm interested to know, and interested to them to know, what are your plans for this summer and then in your future after that?
This summer I have a few different internship opportunities.
Well,
I've got a few more, I haven't decided anything. There's 4 major ones. I've been looking at NASA. They accepted me into their program for chemical engineering.
And that's in Houston, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's in Houston. And then there's the Pentagon, which I would be working in DC, and I would be working on biomedical engineering, which is my ultimate goal. There's Oxford, which it's tempting me pretty hard, where I would be doing biomedical research. And then my other big one would be at Stanford, and that would be biomedical research as well.
Well, I don't even know what to say about that. Just incredible pathway that you've selected. I'm so happy that we are able to help you and provide these options for you in Putnam County that allowed you to grow and go as your family saw fit. So if you had a couple of words of advice for students and families that are out there that may be watching this at a younger age, and I'm not necessarily talking about a 6th grader, but a student who's in 7th, 8th grade that's getting ready to decide what they might want to do and what their curricular pathway might be as they roll into high school, what would be your advice to those families?
I would say that you're not stuck in one idea for the rest of it. If you decide to do a dual enrollment class and you decide that it's not for you, you don't have to stay with it. Or if you decide that you love it and that's what you want to do, you have the opportunity to grow with it. And it gives you such an opportunity from a young age to start your career and start doing what you want to do and figuring out what you want to do even. And I would say that for me, it benefited me so much because, yes, when I was in 6th grade, I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life. I don't think anyone does. But I still got that opportunity to explore more options. And I would say that if you're going to look at this program and you're seriously thinking about it, I think that a maturity aspect is a big part of it, that I would look at your child, or I'd look at yourself if you're the student, and I'd ask yourself, do you think that I could be in a college class and then I could go through the material and I could learn and I could keep pace with myself? Because that's a big portion of the classes. And then the other big question I would ask would say, do you think that this is for you? Because a lot of people looked at what I did and they said they could never do that they wanted a normal high school degree and that they just wanted to be in high school all the time. Because a big portion of this is sometimes you don't get to see your friends as often as you want, but you still have the flexibility to see them sometimes. Like, you can see them outside of school, but most of the time I would be in school and I wouldn't see my friends.
Sure.
But I made time to see them after. I was on the swim team for 5 years. In high school, I actually became the swim team captain, so I made several friends through that. So it's not like your whole life is over just because you started college and high school, or you started high school and middle school. I still had opportunities to socialize. So I would just take a look at if that's for you.
Well, thank you so much for being kind of our poster child in Vital and showing what is possible. Savannah, I just want to thank you for really being our poster child for the Vital program and also for Cookeville High School and now Tennessee Tech. I want to give you an opportunity. Is there anybody that's really stuck out in your mind along the way that you would like to thank while you have this time?
I think one of the 2 biggest people I'd like to thank are Mr. Key, who helped start me out on this program in middle school, who's still one of my favorite teachers to this day. And I also want to thank Miss Donna Sherrill because she helped me through so much in all my classes. She helped me navigate how to get into college classes. She helped me navigate how I needed to apply to college. So those would be the two biggest people that I'd want to thank.
I'm sure so many positive influence, both at Cookeville High School, way back in Prescott, and then now that you're in Tennessee Tech. And we wish you the best of luck. We are definitely going to keep up with you and hope that we can keep in contact and follow your career as you move forward. One thing that I know, just like you've been in everything else, you're going to be very successful doing whatever you choose to do.
Thank you.
And I'm just so excited and glad that we could play a small role in your development as you went through the Putnam County school system. So thank you for your time and have an awesome day and good luck in the future.
Thank you so much.